Hey, I'm Jon Thelen. Today on Fish Ed, we're out doing some crappie fishing, but we're doing it a little different than most people would think of. Today I'm not going to use a float, we're not going to troll, we're going to just vertically jig. We're going to fish the same way you would for walleyes, and I'll tell you what, there's times of the year that this can be the most effective way to catch them. Stay right where you're at. Fish Ed's coming up. There he is, got him that time. You know what I did? I actually changed how I was doing this. I was jigging pretty aggressively when I first started here, and I've been looking at these crappies and I haven't been able to get them to bite. Well, what I did here to make this guy bite, and look at that. What a great fish. But here's what I did to make this guy bite. I just held that jig steady. I just held it still over the top of these fish, and I wonder if this is just one of those mornings where we've gotten out here. You know, we got a little spit in here. It's a, you know, there's a little bit of rain, but maybe they're just not aggressive to see that big, fast jigging presentation. But as long as you put the bait in front of them, they come down and hit it. And I mean, they come up and hit it. I mean, you look at that crappie. Man, he's a big crappie. He should be aggressive. If he was turned on, there's nothing for him to be scared of. He should be able to come up and hit anything he wants to hit. But you know what? Maybe it's just one of those deals where you just got to take it a little bit easy and hold it almost still on him. We'll try that and see if it works on the next one. That's a great fish to start our day though, right there. There's one, got him. Look at that. I was just kind of figuring I needed to get moved a little bit. Oh yeah, it's another good one. Look at him. Look at that. Man. When you get on big crappies like this, it is just so fun to catch them. I want to tell you a little bit about the location here that we're fishing. Because what I was doing here is actually just moving the boat a little bit because I had gone a little bit there without catching a fish. And what I'm fishing is just it's just a hump out here, and there's some weeds that are growing around the outside of it. This is a hard bottom hump. But here's what I'm figuring out. Like right now, I just got a pile of fish on the graph, but every time I get to a point where I feel like, geez, I'm not seeing them again now, all I've got to do is move the boat a little bit. And these fish, they're just piled up all around a hump. And, you know, there's probably more humps all over this lake that have this same thing going on. But one of the keys is this. What you want to find is these humps with a little bit of weeds around them. And you look right over here. I mean, there's some weed beds over here where the weeds are actually out of the water. We're not that far away from shore. You have situations here where you know that there's weeds growing. Because I'm not in real deep water here. I'm working my way anywhere between 8 and 10 feet of water around the edge of this thing. And there's fish just stacked up here and there all around it. So that's something you really want to look for in these midsummer periods like what we're in right now. This is just one of those classic situations where fish like this one right here, we'll get him in the live well here, and he's going home anyway. You know, it's one of those things where these fish, they'll leave those shallow weeds, they'll work their way out into this deeper stuff, and on their way, then what they do is they're just like walleye. They'll just find a structure that they can take up residence on and feed. And that's all these crappies are doing out here. They're just on a mid-lake hump that's not too far off ashore, and they're just eating. It's a real simple deal, and you can find this on a lot of lakes. There's one. Got him. Just kind of moving the boat along here, and one of the things that you want to do, especially when you're vertical jigging fish and you get on just a pile of them, you beat them up for a while, is just move off of them and leave them alone at a certain point, especially if it's a situation like we're on here. I mean, I'm just working a rock pile here. Let me put this boat on the spot lock here so I just hold that spot. But what I did, I mean, we really beat those fish up over there. We just stacked them up pretty fast. And one of the things that sometimes makes a huge difference is to just slide off of them a little bit. Find a new little pile, because usually you take a spot like this, fish like this here, they're not all just in one little tiny area. They'll work their way around this hump we're on, and that's exactly what's happened here. All I did is I just moved a little bit, and tried to put us in a position where we were overfished that we hadn't been over yet. And that's all it took. I mean, boom, that guy bites that fast. I want to show you what I'm using here. Let me put that guy in the live well. And this fish, he made it real easy for me because he snapped that line off again. So I'm going to show you exactly what it is I'm using today. And it's going to be real simple because it's not even tied onto the rod. This is the all new Lindy jig. And you know, there's a lot of jigs out there, but let me tell you what makes this jig so good. This jig, number one, has a razor sharp hook. I mean, you're going to hook up. When you set the hook, you're going to hook up. This thing is sharp. It's sharp right out of the package. You don't have to mess around with it. You're all set to go. You don't got to file it. You're just ready to go. It's a high quality, good hook. Number two is the paint job. We got not just a good looking paint job on this jig, but it's got protruded eyes, and those eyeballs are actually painted too. So it looks more like a minnow down there, and that's really what you're trying to do with a jig. You got to remember, a jig is just what we use for weight to get down there. So anything we can do to add a lifelike look to it is really going to help. So we did that with these protruded eyes. So you get that great paint job, you get the protruded eyes, it looks like a minnow. The last thing, and I think it's one of the most important things, it doesn't matter what jig you're buying, the Lindy live bait jig or the Lindy jig. Here's what's really cool. You've got a clean line tie every time. So when you go to tie on a new jig, you don't got to dig any of that paint out. All you got to do is take it out of the package, take it out of your tray, wherever you got them. You slide that line in and you tie it up. It's that simple. And I think that's a big, big deal because, you know, today it's a beautiful day. I mean, it's midsummer right now and it's awesome out here. So, you know, working with stuff is easy, but look at all those days that we're out there jigging in the spring. You're jigging on opening of fishing. You're out there jigging in the fall, and you're dealing with trying to get paint out of eyes with some of the other jigs on the market. It just drives you crazy. You'll never have to worry about that with this Lindy jig or the Lindy live bait jig. Clean line tie every time. Just tie it on and catch fish. Let's get this one tied back on and get back to catching fish. There he is. Got him. Ooh, that one feels like a really good one. I wonder if that's oh yeah, it is a crop. It's just a big crappie. Holy smokes. Look at that. Another great crappie. He's not even as big as I thought, but he's big. You know, I mean, we've just caught these so consistently all day long. Look at that fish, man. That is just awesome. And you know, people don't think about coming out and vertical jigging for crappies, but I'll tell you what, it's one of the most effective presentations that you can use when you're out on the water. Because here's the thing, I'm parked on top of fish. I'm seeing them. I can sit and watch them, and the minute I see them, I can almost call it. I can almost say, I'm gonna get one. It makes it so simple. And you know what, when these fish, especially in the midsummer period, get up on these areas, they're not going to leave. They're going to sit here and feed, and the boat's not going to bug them. You can come right over the top of them and do what we're doing today. Get out and enjoy some of this, because I'll tell you what, as much as you want to think it's walleye time, there's a lot of great crappie fishing, and no matter what anybody says, these things are fun to catch day in and day out, especially when you're jigging them and getting to feel the bite, because that's just a big fish. That's a fun fish to catch, and man, they fight. They're a lot of fun. Get out and do this, because it's something that anybody can do. You can bring the whole family and have a ball.